All right, folks, welcome back. We are getting through the first initial scan. We've broken it up into three pieces. We've looked at it as a big picture, then we had a connection scan, we've had a content scan. There's one more scan that happens before they read it. Well, actually, this is probably where they read it. And this is where you would think that we would start, but this is actually where we end. And this is the capacity scan. So let's bring up the resume again. And again, we're going to leave all the notes that we've made so that you can see how these layer in. And the capacity scan I'll define as this. The question that I've got in my head as a hiring manager is, does this person have the capacity to do the job? Now, later we'll talk about two more identifying landmarks, which is G and W. So you'll hear me say an acronym that is GWC. This is the C in capacity. So just because I'd love to share this and I don't want to cause any confusion, G stands for get it, and W stands for want it, and C stands for capacity. Do they have the capacity? I've adapted this from a company that a friend of mine does business with. He shared this with me. This is from EOS, which is the Enterprise Operating System. They have some great information about GWC. They coined the term, and I'm happy to share the credit. They have an excellent worksheet that you might want to use. I'll leave that in the that worksheet. If I can get permission, I'll stick that in the sidebar so you can actually work through that and see what that looks like as it helps you. All right, so for now, the capacity scan. I am looking for Danielle's capacity to do a specific job, the job description. So let's say that I'm looking for a customer service representative. This is going to be a new upgrade, Danielle, for you. You're going to be a customer service representative. You've had some customer facing experience in the past, but it's going to require some new skills because you're going to be working in, oh, let's say an IT office as your first role as a technical customer facing support desk engineer. Let's say that. All right, so I'm going to look with, let's see, what color of pen should we choose this time? We're going to go with my favorite color, purple. All right, so here we go. I am looking for someone with integrity. I love the fact that they're engaged and diligent. I love knowledge, and I love reliable. I love critical thinking, trustworthy, customer success oriented. Notice that I'm actually reading all the words now, and I'm trying to read them in order. Ensure timely and correct. If she can do it for billing, perhaps she can do it for somebody else. She knows how to work with patients. She has patience with the patients. Or I actually may want to ask that question. So there's a question mark. Do you have the same degree of patience that you do with patients? I love accurate. I like expedited checkout. I'm going to see if she can efficiently learn something besides point of sale systems. I love the fact that she's honest. I'm seeing a lot here that I think will work really well. Learn new skills, definitely, once again. And I'm going to be curious about her education. So I've got a couple questions here. What did she study? And how is it relevant? Does she have the capacity? What is her anticipated next steps for her continued education? I'm really curious what makes what her education aptitude and appetite is. All right, so that is my scan. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to make some notes and say this candidate is 7 out of 10 so far. Okay. Oh, and I think Julian would probably be a good person. I think they've had career similar to this. So I'm going to have Julian actually I'm going to refer this person to Julian in the future. Things look good. Okay, there is the capacity scan. What did you see, Danielle? What kind of things, if you saw this resume when you walked in for your first resume interview, what would you think?
I think I'd be scared. I think I would wonder why in the world is my resume in their hand and why is it written all over?
So that would be scared, a little bit intimidating. I actually had this happen to me. I was the one that was being interviewed, and the interview went pretty well. And so I had enough courage, and I said, Paul, why? Tell me a little bit about your markup. It was a little bit intimidating to walk in, kind of take a glance at that on your desk. You've even written some additional notes. How does that work? And he says, "Oh, well, let me tell you." He says, "First, I scanned it for I scanned it for details that were relevant to our connection. You and I have some of the same hobbies and interests, so I was actually curious about that. And then I was looking for content that was related in your past history to the things that we're going to be asking you to do. Some were on the resume or some were on the job description, some weren't. And then I asked him, I said, I saw you write down at the end a number or something like that. And he goes, oh, well, I'm not sure you want to read about that, but I'll tell you. He says, that's my initial impression of how you did. And I said, can I ask what my score was? And he says, yeah, it was 8.5. And I said, 8.5? What would it take to get to a 10? And he says, I've never had anybody make it a 10, but I will raise you to 9 for asking that question. So that's what it's like. So just an idea. Don't freak out when you see that. It's actually a good sign that they want to connect and see what you've got in the tank.
So a question I have for you, Steve, is why does capacity tell an employer that you can do the job? How does this all relate to getting the job?
So capacity is a measure of actually answering the question of can they do the job? This one's kind of subjective one because most often than not, especially at this stage, and I hope in future stages as well, you're not interviewing for jobs that you're qualified for. You actually want to be interviewing for jobs that are slightly above your capacity or slightly above your pay grade, slightly above your current employment. That's one of the reasons you want to move to a next capacity. So this is kind of an interesting space to be in. It's not only about having knowledge, but it might also be, do you have the time? Do you have the physical capacity? Do you have the determination to accomplish the job or to gain the capacity through knowledge or experience to do the job itself? Does that help you understand capacity a little bit more?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, super cool. Okay, so that takes us through your resume journey from the big picture to the first connection scan to the content scan, then the capacity read. So that is what happens to your resume when it's sitting on the desk. Next, we're going to actually start assembling your resume by focusing on your objective statement or your personal brief. So join us right here as we take you on your next journey, and you can start editing so that you can make your resume awesome and better. Let's go.